Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Justice, and I am joined today by a special guest, the newest member of Judgment Gaming. It is Ursus, fresh off of his win at the most recent Remote Duel Main Event. Excited to get to chat with you today. How are you doing, man?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Great day.
Hey, nice, nice. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's take a look at your deck list here. As you see, you did go with Twisted Personality Vampires. First, let me ask you what made you decide to take that deck.
Mostly, I wanted to take a risk. I wanted to try out a new deck that wasn't touched too greatly by the recent ban list. And I've been playing with vampires for a little bit and theorizing, so I just want to see how it was going to work out.
Okay, nice. We don't necessarily need to take a ton of time in every card. But you want a quick run us through the deck list? Any cards you want to highlight? Anything you want to point out about how the deck works?
Sure. So one of the things I like about this deck the most is using Vampire Familiar and Retainer to quickly build up twist personality counters. There's a common combo with the deck where you try to loop Retainer, Familiar during one on your opponent's turn and then two on your own turn to build up three counters by using the trap card Vampire Awakening. So you would activate Awakening, summon Familiar on your opponent's turn, use its effect, build a counter, search for Retainer. In phase, Familiar goes to the graveyard. Your turn comes back. Use Familiar's graveyard effect to send the Retainer you just added to your hand to the graveyard. Summon, search again, second counter, use Retainer to send the card you added to the grave, summon itself, use its effect, third counter, get Awakening, use the three counters to destroy a monster, set Awakening, and then do it all over again the next turn. It's
Nice.
very good.
Yeah, it's a hell of a loop. All right, cool. So you do see the Golden Ladybugs, everyone's favorite card. That was at least touched a bit on the ban list. You want to talk about that a little bit? Why that's still good here?
Yeah, I think of all the Limit 2 cards, because this is contentious with Foolish Burial, but I think Ladybug goes really well with Twisted Personality. The deck in general too, but because you cycle through your life points really quickly, you really don't want to take too much battle damage. So having something like Ladybug to offset the life points you paid with the vampire monsters, to try and get more uses out of Twist Personality and have more life points to work with if you do take battle damage. So it is kind of contentious a little bit because I think it could be other cards too. Foolish will make the deck a little bit faster, for example. Like, because I think the deck is a little bit of a slow starter. If you don't have Desire plus Retainer or Familiar, you tend to just set a monster, set some back row pass, which is, it's not bad, but it's a little slow. But I like Ladybug still.
Okay. All right, very cool. So another card that I think some people notice here that stands out is probably Jinzo as your limit one choice. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, I think Jinzo is really strong in this format. I think most people will probably have to play Book of Moon as their limit three or use Shrink to try and deal with it because most of the strong defensive cards after the ban list in like Windstorm, Widespread Ruin, Zero Gravity, all of them just lose to Jinzo. And if you just don't have any answers for it, it can just steal the game like right when it's on summon, or as few turns go by. It's too big. Most of the defense just can't deal with it, and it's also really easy to summon because Vampire Familiar Retainers effects to summon themselves onto the field makes them easy tribute fodder.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's a great meta call. Absolutely. Speaking of meta calls, I think this might be the most contentious card in the list. Can we talk about Vampire Hunter real quick?
Yeah, this is it was a weird one. It was kind of a gamble. I
Mhm.
was debating whether or not I was going to side it. But I found that my side deck was pretty tight. Like, well, I will make changes to the side now. I wanted to cover a lot of matchups, and of all the cards in the deck, because before that was the third familiar, I feel like familiar could have been cut for Hunter, but Hunter is mostly for the mirror. It's really good.
Okay.
Vampires don't inherently have an out to it because all their monsters are dark, and like even for lore to summon itself, it summons itself on the next turn. It's just they can't really do anything to touch it inherently without using the skill, and
Right.
if they have Vampire Desire, they can revive Hunter. Well, they as in me, I would just revive Hunter like that. But
Mhm.
it was just for the mirror. I wasn't concerned about Dark Scorpions because of the restricted yellow being banned for remote duel.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But fun
That's
enough, I
fair.
didn't play against any vampires, so
Oh, well, there you
It wasn't
go.
even it wasn't even that helpful really. It was just a normal summon with like slightly higher stats than the rest of my monsters that are low level.
Okay, fair enough. Archfiend Soldier would have been better. Understood. All right, let's
Yeah, pretty
uh
essentially.
so yeah, let's talk about that side deck real quick. What were the matchups you were worried about? What were you looking to side for?
I was first and foremost afraid of Joey because they use Banisher.
Okay.
Which you wouldn't think of it with only one hammer shot in the side, but the Soul Exchange in the main deck was kind of like me playing a second hammer shot, but having something in the main deck. Now, it being a one of is not the biggest deal, but comparing that with Book of Moon, a card I can also deal with Banisher by putting it face down right away. The hammer shot was just like additional thing I can use to get rid of Banisher quickly. Hopefully early too, because if my monster's in attack position, versus Joey, my monster is usually going to be the biggest one on the field. But it wasn't hard to play around that. It's just Banisher is like, and I was right too. That card was everywhere for like most Joey decks I played against.
Okay, there you
Uh,
go.
I think now I would probably side more Hammer Shot, like a second one.
Right.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
For the Dust Tornado, that was for macro. It was kind of like the same rationale. I wasn't expecting macro to be as good, not good, as common, just
Mhm.
because Banisher is just easier to fit into Joey without it being a side deck card. And the macro decks weren't really, as far as I knew, that strong. Like even for this deck, it wasn't that big of a deal, but I still used it for that specifically. I try not to play an Awaken the Dragon, but I did one time. I've learned to now exclusively use it just for macro because
Right.
Curse and Lord can kind of already naturally play around back row, especially with zero gravity. So
Right.
back row hate isn't that essential for this deck, I don't think,
Okay.
outside of back row.
And the
And then
spheres were there for the, were you respecting Dark Gaia or is it something else?
no, it was Dark Gaia and Cyber Angels,
Okay.
mostly Dark Gaia though. I was afraid of what's that card? I use all the time. It was Absorbing Jar. That card really messes up like most of the defense I have, and I'm not playing Waking, so
Right.
I can use the jar to help me draw into the Sphere Karibo. I didn't end up playing against that or Cyber Angels, so it was just like a okay defensive card.
Got
Uh,
it.
I think now I probably would take it out completely for a second hammer shot. And one other card, I haven't decided on that one, whether that's like a second shrine or that is the Vampire Hunter, and I replaced the one in the main deck with the third familiar.
Mhm.
But something. Sphere was just okay.
Okay. Gotcha. So to the best of your recollection, can you kind of walk us through your experience in the main event a little bit? What your matchups were, what you felt good against, what was a little bit of a struggle?
Sure. So in Swiss, I went X1, and of them, I played against Joey twice. One was Roy. That was a very good Roy list,
Okay.
and some rogue decks in a rat box, and I believe it was Koalas. Yeah, it was Koalas. I played
Well,
against Keeper.
nice.
Yeah. It was kind of weird. Most of the time, I didn't feel like I was in a bad position versus most of those decks. Even for Joey, like now I did lose to one Joey in Swiss, but did not beat him in Top Cut. But
Oh, nice. Okay.
outside of Banisher, I didn't really have much problems playing against anything. So if Joey didn't see Banisher early enough, or they weren't able to maintain it on the field long enough, they will lose really quickly. Like the deck can cycle through the resources to build up 3 counters really quickly, so I can use that to out their monsters, have Lord or Curse attack directly, and bait their back row. Which I guess speaking of, I saw widespread really often. Like despite Joey being everywhere, um, widespread was so common. So Lord felt really, really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, right? Especially with our back row getting more restricted. Wall Disruption is going to see less play since it's fighting in that limit 3 spot. So
Yeah.
widespread becomes more popular, which makes Lord that much better for sure.
Yeah, and I was afraid of Wall of D the most because I think of all the back row cards, besides like macro, that one's the most impactful, whether
Mhm.
Curse or Lord's attacking. That's why I'm using Zero Gravity to push my monsters to defense position in that context.
Right.
It's also useful against their Windstorm by putting my monsters back in attack to play around Drillroid a little bit, which came up a few times. That was pretty nice.
Right, yeah, you played against that Royd list, so there you go. What was your top 4 matchup? Do you remember?
I believe top 4 was against Joey, actually. Top 4 and then
Okay.
finals was Joey.
Okay, so they
Top
both
8
won.
was against yeah, I believe top 8 was against Crystal Beast, which was not
Really?
as bad as what I thought it was going to be. It was very close though. They're really good in like their resource management with Conclave, you know.
Right, and that is
Uh,
something that actually can out both Lord and Curse.
yeah, but funny enough, Lord's effect to have them send a card from their deck to graveyard really messed them up like a lot.
Oh,
You know,
really?
they would try to stack their deck with their skill, looking to the future, and then
Oh, yeah, and then you
now
make
it's
them
just all
shuffle.
completely messed up. Yeah, so that was
Nice.
pretty good.
That's cool.
That was
Yeah,
pretty.
nice. And of course, if you can stick Jinzo against them, they can have real problems.
Oh yeah. I believe they played Shrink as well. I
Mhm.
don't think I saw Berserk skills, but I think Shrink probably will see a lot of play, mostly because of Jinzo.
Yeah, I could definitely
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
All right. So I know you kind of touched on it already. I'm just going to ask you very directly. Was there ever a point where you felt like there was a chance you weren't going to win this thing? Or did like all the way through, did you feel like, nope, I think I actually just have the best deck. I think I'm, in really good position to go all the way.
There were it was one time against Joey because again, if they get Banisher really early, it's like it's curtains, you know.
Mhm.
But even with that, I didn't feel like the deck was uh I feel like it always had a chance at dealing with them because of its versatility through Awakening and building up so many TP counters. Even like creative ways of using Awakening, I feel like the deck has a lot of potential that I haven't even really touched upon that I felt throughout the tournament.
Okay.
So I didn't feel like I wasn't going to win at any point that much, unless I'm playing as Banisher, because
Right.
Banisher.
Right. And I think actually, like, as we're looking at the list, the cards themselves are just solid, but yeah, it really can't be overstated how much Twisted Personality does for this deck, I think.
Yeah, though I will say after playing against other builds, I don't think the deck actually relies too much on Twist Personality. It is very strong with it, mostly because of the monster removal for me,
Mhm.
more than the discard effect. But the deck I think has potential even if TP gets hit more directly.
Okay.
For example, like Raphael was using a switcheroo build. He used Psychic Shockwave to have that be a way to summon Jinzo,
Right.
which is pretty nice.
Yeah, that's a neat little way of doing it for sure.
Yeah, but Twist personality is just so good. It's kind of hard not to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah, cards pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really clutch.
Nice. Well, awesome, man. Again, congratulations on the win. Obviously, well
Thank you.
deserved. Before I let you go and we wrap this up, is there anything else, any closing thoughts you have on the deck, the event as a whole, speed duels, really anything?
I guess I will say I think Vampire is a deck to consider. I don't necessarily think it's the best deck just because the power level is kind of low, but you should like meaningfully prepare for it. Whether you
Right.
you play Banisher or Macro or you play Vampire Hunter, it's definitely a deck worthy of respecting. And I guess as a tip, they really don't like monsters that do piercing. They really don't like that. Familiar
Right.
Retainer have zero defense. They will crumble really easily.
Yep.
As a little heads up.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great tip. Absolutely. So Dragon Force is a great skill. You heard it here first, folks.
Yep.
All right. All right, so I'll wrap that up. If you do have any further questions, leave them in the comments below. One of us, or maybe Ursus, will be able to get to you, answer any questions you might have. Let us know your thoughts on the deck. If you played in the main event, what was your experience like? Do tell us. But that will do it for us today. Again, congratulations, Ursus, on the win. That was awesome.
Thank you.
And yeah, that will do it. So until next time, as always, my friends, be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Good luck in all of your games, and we will see you soon.